Welcome to this special edition of Boxtorow. Those that are tuning in on the Boxtorow YouTube channel, those that are listening to us on radio stations across the country. Got a couple of great guests for you. Those that can see to my left is Brad Holmes. He is the general manager of the Detroit Lions. He is an A&T grad. To my right is Troy Weaver. He is a Bowie State alum and, of course, the general manager of the Detroit Pistons. As they join us here on the program, this is so significant to start off with because you're talking about two HBCU alums that are general managers in the same city. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? I've talked with them individually. Now I've got them collectively. Gentlemen, I appreciate the time. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me start here, and I'm going to ask, I want to talk a little bit about your respective HBCU experiences. I'm going to start with you, Troy. You're of course a Bowie State alum. Have gotten to this level. You were with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz. Now, of course, running the show there with the Pistons. Can you speak to how your time at Bowie State may have helped to prepare you for your position now with the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, absolutely, Donal. The experiences at HBCU are can't be replaced. Just the nurturing you get there, the support you get there, the camaraderie there on campus with the staff and the students is second to none. And my time there, I was able to grow and continue to work through navigating being a young man. And it really helped me forge into my career and be excited about who I was, which is always a foundation for anyone, being strong in who you are and self-confidence. And I definitely received a lot of that while I was at Bowie State.
No doubt about it. Same thing for you, Brad. Now, I had a chance to see a tiny bit of yours in '99 when I was the SID at A&T. We had a really good football team. You're part
White College national champions, man.
Right. That's right. Talk about it, A&T.
Yeah, no, man. A lot of just it's funny when I took my visit to A&T, I was dead set on not going to A&T because my dad was there. You know, my mom was an A&T grad, my sister was an A&T grad, and I was like, I'm going to forge my own path and go. And then, I made the mistake to taking a visit up there and walked around that campus and sat in that cab far too long, man. And I was like, I'm sold. But, it was a good football decision, too. They had guys I think they had like 3 guys get drafted the year that I came in, and, they were winning. And it just felt right. But, I always thought that, when you don't have all the top-notch facilities, you really learn to do without, and you just have so much appreciation of the camaraderie, the guys around you, appreciation for the culture. And I do think that just starting off, at least in scouting in the NFL, you don't make a lot of money. You got to kind of just grind and, like we say all the time, just kind of get it how you live. And that was relatively easy for me based off of kind of what I just came out of at A&T. But I played with a guy named Troy Pelchak, and you probably remember Pelchak. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to the St. Louis Rams as a PR intern, when I got my shots, our running backs coach at the time, Wilbur Montgomery, he remembered Pelchak from his time with the Rams. And so when he found out that I had just got done playing at A&T, that's how we strung up a good relationship and started talking football and introduced me to the general manager. So there was multiple ways where, the experience at A&T kind of helped me get the opportunity.
That the voice, of course, of Brad Holmes, the general manager of the Detroit Lions. To my right, Troy Weaver, for those that can see, the general manager of the Detroit Pistons. Both are HBCU alums as they join us here on the program. My next thought now, I'll start again with you, Troy. Adversity. Can you all speak to maybe in this for you, Troy? I read a letter that you wrote to the Pistons fans after last season, just kind of talking to them about the process, because it is a process. I think sometimes people come in and you think it's going to happen right away, and it doesn't. And there's a process to this thing. So can you kind of speak to that, and specifically that letter that you wrote to the Pistons faithful?
Yeah, it is a process, and we want to make sure we don't skip any steps. And I said this year that we wanted to put our food in the oven and not microwave it. But I wanted the fans to know that we're going to stay diligent to the task of restoring the Pistons. And I just want to know, we aren't there. We're sorry that it's taking a little longer, but we're going to get there. And their patience with us and our restoring and helping us build this thing brick by brick is going to be a beautiful thing for us when we finally get on the other side. But anything we do, there's going to be some trials and tribulations, and we faced adversity since I walked in here, and we'll face it when we get it going. You look at what Brad is doing with the Lions. They're off to a great start, and they're fighting through injuries all season and still carrying the flag. And we're trying to do the same, but we're not going to shortcut it. We're going to turn over every stone and make sure we put a product on the field, on the court, that resembles the city and something they can be proud of.
And, I like the way that you all, to the point that you made before we even came on, you guys talked about maybe not knowing each other like that before, but you keep up with each other. I mean, I think that's absolutely tremendous. And for you, Brad, I mean, look, you come in there, right? You trade Matt Stafford. You're trading Matt Stafford, but you knew Jared Goff. And I know a lot of people probably question that, but you knew Jared Goff from your days at St. Louis. You not only do you make that trade straight up, but you get draft capital back. And it seems to be working out well for you so far.
Yeah, when we made the trade, it seems like the narrative was that Jared was a throw-in, that we had to take him. And me and Les Snead with the Rams, we have a great relationship. I was with the team for so long, and he specifically asked me if I wanted Jared Goff, because there was a carousel of quarterbacks, and there was other teams calling Les to acquire Jared. And I never forget, Les had specifically asked me, we had the trade for Matthew in the year. We had those parameters in place, but he said, do you want Jared as part of it? And I was like, absolutely. And so, but I thought he was the right guy to start this path that me and Dan were going to embark on, because just like what Troy was talking about with the adversity, we knew what we were about to face in terms of we tore the roster down to the studs basically, and you knew we were going to start from the ground up. And you look at Jared's past track record, he's had a lot of the mental toughness and the fight through adversity. He's done that a lot, even back when he started at Cal, and they only had one game. And then the next year there was 500. Then the next year, bowl game success. And, that first year in LA, that was a tough one. And so when he got here, in 21, when we first got here, look, we didn't have a lot of help around him. We had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. We had to make a midseason OC change. Dan had to call the play, and he battled through a lot. And I give the kid a lot of credit. So his success at his point's not a surprise to me, but I'm happy for him the way he's battled through adversity, and I think he's earned respect of the city.
Two more thoughts for both of you all, because we want to respect the time, and I'd be remiss if I did not thank both the Pistons and the Lions PR departments for setting this up. I mean, two GMs in the middle of the season. I mean, that's we're very appreciative of that. Scouting HBCU players. I'm going to start with you, Brad. You've made a point to do that. James Houston comes to mind, 6th-round draft pick. He plays on Thanksgiving. He plays 7 games, beginning with Thanksgiving last year through the end of the season. 8 sacks. So you were familiar where a lot of people may not have known because you've had that HBCU experience.
Yeah, I did make an emphasis on, if you want to give back, and look, when it comes to what we have to do, like, you can't give handouts out, and you can't say, oh, well, we're going to draft this kid just because he went to HBCU. Like, we don't have those luxuries. But, but I want to give everybody an equal opportunity, regardless of the level of competition. And bottom line is, if a kid can play, he can play. It doesn't matter if he's playing in the SEC or if he's playing in the MEAC or the SWAC. If he's got explosiveness, he's got explosiveness. He's got a motor, he's got a motor. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We'll figure all that stuff out in all-star games and how the kid's made up and his intangibles. But it was really cool to be able to get James in, and he wasn't ready, when he first got in training camp, and he had to go on practice squad, but he kept working, and you started seeing it, a couple of weeks before we had got him up. And by the time we got him up, I was just so happy that he took advantage of his opportunity. Obviously, he had a devastating injury, but he's working hard, rehabbing. But that's going to be the same approach that I'm always going to take because I know that any HBCU player, they have a certain level of grind to them, and what they got to hustle with.
Yeah, and I know for you, Troy, maybe slightly different because you have less roster spots than an NFL team, but I know you still have your eye on HBCU talent, and we're seeing where there are many more camps for HBCU players.
Yeah, absolutely. The NBA has really stepped up. They have different tournaments now. Every All-Star game, there's a HBCU Classic that allows those teams to be exposed to everyone. So the exposure is there. The NBA has really stepped up there. I mean, Chris Paul has a tournament every year, different venues now. Guys are getting a chance to have the national exposure, and it bodes well for those HBCUs and the players alike being exposed. And that's all you want. You want to give those guys a chance to be seen and evaluated like everyone else. And it's been exciting. I've stayed and watched those All-Star games. The HBCU game at the All-Star game. And it's been great. And I plan on going out to Vegas this year to see the Chris Paul class. So scouting those venues is very helpful. And like Brad said, it's no handout, but just giving them the exposure and the opportunity is what it's all about.
No doubt about it. Michael B. Jordan, of course, has a tournament as well. Last thought for both of you, and I'll once again start with you, Brad. You're I believe the first HBCU grad that's a GM in the National Football League. Can you speak to what that means to you, and when people see you as an HBCU grad, as a Black man as well, because there's not a lot of Black brothers in those positions, sort of what that really means to you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Donald. It means a lot to me, and I hope it's a symbol of progress, and it's a symbol of hope for other guys at HBCUs or other Black men that's aspiring to become a GM or a top executive one day. And, I think when I got hired, there were 2 GMs at the time, and 2 Black GMs at the time. And, those numbers have increased. Hopefully we can continue to make progress, but as we're making progress at the GM level, we still got to make more progress at the head coaching level, and ultimately we got to make more progress at the president level. So one of the things that with the Lions that we started is we call the Wally Triplett rotational program, where Wally Triplett was the first Black player drafted to play in a game by the Detroit Lions, and we're going to have those recent graduate minorities rotate in all the different departments besides coaching and scouting. So corporate partnerships, marketing, community stuff, like everything, so they can get those necessary skills to get more, presidents or anything above that. So, but yeah, it's progress. Hopefully, it's a symbol of hope for others. But we got to keep driving. I don't think the job's done yet.
And then same thing for you, Troy. I believe you're the second HBCU alum behind Willis Reed, who, of course, after his great playing days with the New Jersey Nets. But, your thoughts in terms of being an HBCU grad alum in the position that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Echo Brad's sentiments. We may now have, 8 African American GMs in the NBA. So the NBA, the progress there has been tremendous with African Americans. But so far as HBCUs, just affording those opportunities, the NBA has opened the doors to a lot of internships and partnerships with HBCUs here in the last 4 or 5 years. That's really opened the doors in all aspects of operations, basketball operations. Every year we hire interns from HBCUs and just giving them that exposure. So like I said, just with the scouting, but in the front office as well, just giving those young people a chance to work in these programs and be afforded those opportunities bodes well for us going forward and being able to hire more minority and HBCU alums and grads along the way. So no, it's great to be a part of it.
This has been absolutely wonderful. Want to respect the time. Before we get out of here, I want to give you guys last words. Any last thoughts? Brad, I'll start with you.
Hey, look, this is a great platform. I appreciate you having me on. We've talked about adversity, on this program, and Troy and I have definitely been through a lot. And I thought Troy made a good comment. It's going to come again, and as good as it goes, my old coach Bill Hayes from A&T used to always say, once you think you're on easy street, you're always a block away. And so that adversity defines us, and that's why we pride ourselves on grit and willing through adversity. And so, I just want the city of Detroit to continue to support us, and I appreciate you having us on for the platform.
Absolutely. Troy, any last words?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be a part of this forum and being here in the city of Detroit, and the restoration of all of the pro teams here, and for Brad and I to be afforded these opportunities in the same city at the same time as we're trying to build these franchises back up. It's a tremendous blessing and honor, and we don't take it lightly. Brad and I, we're excited about the work that's ahead, the work that we're doing, and the city has really responded. There's probably no other city but Detroit that would and could house what we're doing right now. So it says a lot about the city having us here and the support that we're receiving. So we're thankful for this opportunity, and one day, hopefully, we can look back on the rebirth and restoration of the Lions and the Pistons that were led by, with us being a part of it, this process with African Americans at the helm.
We got to wrap it up, folks. We could go on all day. This is history. 2 HBCU alums, Troy Weaver on the right. He's the general manager of the Detroit Pistons, a Bowie State alum. On the left, Brad Holmes, the general manager of the Detroit Lions, a North Carolina A&T grad, as they both join us here on Boxtorow. Look, guys, I don't take this lightly. I really, really appreciate you guys' time. Continued success in all you do.
Thanks, Donald. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Donald. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.